I'm Trista Polo with this week's Plate Story. We will spend some time this week with Thomas Dillingham III. Thomas is the owner of the Detail Garage in Ohio, and his plate, Betty White, pays tribute to an American hero who we lost just shy of her 100th birthday. Thomas has loved Betty White since he watched the Golden Girls with his mom as a kid. He still watches the reruns today with his own family. He also loves cars, a love he has passed on to one of his children. Thomas shares his experience with the foster system and how he went from being single to married with 2 children in just a handful of months. That was 6 years ago, and while it was rocky at first, he wouldn't change a thing. But first, in Plate Story news, the famous ass man from Seinfeld has passed away as well. Lou Kutel, who played many character actor roles in his career, including a proctologist on the 107th episode of Seinfeld, passed away at 91 on November 21st of 2021. In this Seinfeld episode, Kramer gets his license plates from the DMV, which read Assman. He suspects they belong to a proctologist, which is confirmed when he takes Frank Costanza to see Dr. Assman Cooperman, played by Kutel. Cooperman confirms they are his vanity plates while treating Frank Costanza for the fusilli jerry he has stuck in his butt. Cutella was also known for his role as Big Larry on Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure in the 80s. Our condolences go out to family, friends, and fans of Kutel. May he rest in peace. Now let's go meet Thomas, who chose to honor the late, great Betty White with his vanity plate. This episode is being aired for the first time just days after Betty White's passing, which was just weeks before her 100th birthday. We send our condolences as well to the White family, friends, and fans. She was and will always be America's Golden Girl. So excited to have Thomas Dillingham with me today. His license plate is Betty White. He's from Ohio, born and raised in Lincoln Heights, Cincinnati, and he's living in Dayton. Welcome, Thomas. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, your license plate was one that I saw roaming around the internet, and I just absolutely loved it. It was one of my favorites. It's BET space T and then WHT. And
Yes.
so even though it's consolidated, it's clear what it is. It's Betty White, which I love, but I was interested in the story behind it. So why did you choose Betty White as your license plate?
It just kind of was one of those, I've had license plates before that were just that hinted at things. I have another car that the license plate was Buzz Lightyear because the car is an Infinity. Kind of made people think, and they were like, well, why'd you do that? So, and then I grew up kind of watching the Golden Girls as a child, and then Betty White is just, I think, an awesome individual. So I was like, and my car is white, and it's a station wagon, and I was like, cool, Betty White.
I love it. Now, you told me when we talked before, you sometimes get looks when you get out of your car having that license plate. Tell me a little about that.
Yeah. Well, it's a BMW station wagon. It's lowered. It's only probably maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches off the ground. And I am a 6'4", almost 300-pound black dude. So people are like, why does he have Betty White on the back of his car? He's probably not even old enough to remember the Golden Girl. I'm like, yeah, I do. And I did watch it, and I still watch it to this day. So, but yeah, it's one of those. It's just like, it's kind of I guess an oxymoron, if that's the correct term for it. But
I love it. I think that's great. Do people ever ask you about it?
Every now and then, but I don't know. I don't know, people, they just see it and they just look and they just kind of do like a double take, and they're like, or they'll drive by and wave and say, and like point, like that's cool or whatever. So
Yeah,
but
see
I
a
don't
lot
drive
of
the car that often. So when I get it out, that's when I get the reactions.
Yes. Well, I see a lot of license plates out there, both when I'm driving around and on the internet. as you can imagine, people share them with me all the time, having a podcast like this. And that's one of the more fun ones that I've seen. Now, Golden Girls, watching that as a little kid, that seems like maybe you would have watched other stuff that would have been more, aimed at you. That was like a lot of retired ladies living in Florida. What
Right.
had you watching that as a kid?
Well, because there was, I typically watch. My parents were not together, but my mom. There was one TV at my mom's house, and well, growing up, there was one TV, so it was, well, you have to watch what I watch, and that was it. Whatever was Golden Girls, and then whatever she watched after that. So that's what we had to watch. And if you wanted to watch TV, it was Golden Girls and Dukes of Hazzard or whatever was on golf, because whatever was on the TV at the time.
It's a little different than today, where there's a TV in every single room of the house, right?
Right,
You can watch
right.
TV on your phone now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. So now you're a business owner. You
uh,
have a detailing company. Tell me about your business.
I own what's called the Detail Garage. I've been detailing for, I would say, almost 20 years, I guess. I mean, I started cleaning cars as a teenager, and then that as I got older, I started actually realizing what detailing was, and then it turned into a business. I turned it into a business about 5 years in February. Before that, I've
Congratulations.
been,
That's an important milestone, 5 years.
yes, yeah.
They say, right? Like that 95% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. So congratulations on that awesome
Thank
milestone.
you. Thank you. It's been a side hustle, and then I decided to turn it into a business. And then next year, we're moving forward with some other things. Some things are starting to fall into place. So but it's always been, I have a full time job plus this full time job. So I've always been a balancing act, trying to keep both of the, keep my sanity with my day job, and then also try to run a business. It can be hectic sometimes, but it's good.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And you're a family man too. So in addition to your full-time job and your business, you also have a family, right?
yes, married, two girls. My wife and I adopted two girls. Officially, next year will be 3 years. Yes,
Awesome.
but we've had them. So crazy story. My wife and I got together. We were together. We've been married for 6 years, and we were only together like 2.5, 3 months before I proposed. The day after I proposed, she got a phone call saying, "Hey, we need you to do a kinship placement for what is her cousin." Um,
What is a kinship placement?
so instead of her our daughter going into the system,
Uh-huh.
they try to find a family member to take the child prior to um, them going into foster care or
Oh,
the
okay.
foster care system. So they do a kinship. So
Got
we
it.
ended up literally the day after I proposed. She gets a phone call. We had the weekend to get the house together, and it was all instant family from that point. About a month after that, the case now we have a caseworker. Caseworker calls and says, "Hey, the birth mother is pregnant. We're not going to let her keep the child. Do you guys want to take her?" We're like, absolutely not. We can't do it. I mean, we
Yeah.
literally have had my oldest for a month, and I'm like, I don't know if we can do a newborn. So January rolls around. She's like, "Hey, I have to get her out of the house, the foster home that she's in. It's just not a she's not being mistreated, but it's just not a good situation." She texts my wife. I'm like, okay. So my wife decided to bring in Heather. I'm like, all right, cool. I have 3 adopted siblings, and I'm like, I can't let this girl grow up without her sister. So she brings her over. A I think it was a Tuesday. By the following Tuesday, we had a 4-month-old. So I'm like, whew. And we were getting married in 6 weeks later. So I'm like, oh man, this is so yeah, that it's been that ever since.
Wow. So you just jumped right into the deep end.
Oh yeah.
The
There's no life vest, no nothing. Murky waters, just let's go.
Yes, that's right. And how has it been? How long ago was that?
That was July of 2014 is when we got the oldest. January of 15 is when we got my youngest, and then we got married March of 2015 on Pi Day, 3/14/15.
Wow.
And then we adopted them Memorial Day weekend 2 years ago.
Wow, that's a roller coaster ride. So how has it been for you guys? I mean, you just kind of jumped in, you did that thing what they say, jump off the cliff and figure out the parachute on the way down, right?
Yeah. Some Mission Impossible type stuff. So
yeah, exactly. That's right. How has it been
just
for you as a family?
I mean, for me, it was I come from a big family. I come from a family that, I have an older brother, it's me, and then my mom had triplets. And then my dad and my stepmom decided they weren't able to physically have children, so they ended up adopting 3. So I'm 15, and then I have a sister that's 13, 2 sisters that are 13 years younger than me, and then a brother that's 15 years younger than me. So yeah, and I'm just not one to try to. We may not have had the means at the time, but I wasn't going to let 2 sisters, one grow up in the system and one not grow up in the system. It's just not. That's not. I know I've seen what the system can do to kids if they're not taken care of, and that's not a fault of the system, because they don't have the resources. I mean, it's a hard, and a lot of these people don't get the praise or pay or resources to help them do what they need to do. So, and that sucks. So then I was like, well, if I can alleviate some pressure from that, then.
I wanted to acknowledge you and your wife for taking 2 children in, like even before you were married yourselves. So you hadn't even really started your life together. And now you have a family to raise. And you could have easily said no either time. And the fact that you said yes is really commendable. If people want to help, if they want to support, do they volunteer? Do they give money? Do they offer to foster? Like, what does the system need, do you think?
I think more so it's they need good foster parents. There are, not saying that all foster parents are bad, but I've noticed that there are some who will just take kids because there's a lot of money in it. Yes, there is a lot of money in the foster care system. There is a lot of money in the adoption. But there are people who take advantage of it and will use those funds to live as opposed to actually taking care of the children that they have, or they'll take in more than what they can handle. And then you get in a situation, I think that what we ran into is that this lady she was a good foster parent. They needed a placement. They got the placement, but she also had like 2 or 3 special needs kids in her home. And now she has a newborn. And it was like, she needed to get out of that situation. So, I mean, of course, it worked out in our favor because it was her half sister. My youngest, her biological father, was a kid who aged out of the system. He was in the system his entire life, never really had a home. So it led down a path of somewhat destruction in his life. And I could tell he was a good kid, but it just, nothing was clicking. It was, he wanted to do well, but then he would go off and do something stupid, and it was like, yeah, it was, and the birth mother was, she wasn't a bad person, but she was also in the system partially for her life, part of her life, and it was just not, neither one of them had the opportunity to grow and become better people because of whatever family trauma that happened prior to them having these kids. So
yeah, wow, it's a tough conversation. Thank you for sharing that part of your life with me. I really appreciate it. What are your favorite things to do as family activities?
I think that their biggest thing is that my in-laws live in rural Tennessee, so they love going down to my in-laws. They live close to the Tennessee River, so they go out in the river, go out on a pontoon boat, jet skis, all that stuff. That's what they love. Books. And my youngest really is into cars like I am. My oldest, she could care less about a car, about anything. She's books, and
Yeah.
If it doesn't have to do with reading a book or watching something on TV, she no interest. But my youngest, if I'm in the garage working on a car, she wants to be right next to me and soak it up.
You're not just detailing, you're really into cars, right? You're in a car club, you host car events.
Well, I was told if I buy another vehicle this year that I'd be in trouble. But yeah, I host a cars and coffee event in the neighboring city where I actually spent a good portion of my life, in Springfield, Ohio. And then I have my core group of friends, there's about 15 or 20 of us that we all kind of get together. And then obviously the extended car community that I'm in. But yeah, I do a lot with cars, work on them, clean them. I'm actually working on my sister's Jeep right now. We just got the wheels and tires done. She's in Germany for the next year. No, 2023 she comes back. She extended her leave, or not her leave, but her tour. But so yeah, I'm working on it, working on my own vehicles, probably getting ready to tear down my Infinity, which is 22 years old, and do a complete kind of restoration type thing on it, because it's a car that I can't get rid of. It means nothing to anybody else except for me. But and it's probably to anybody else, it's maybe worth $1,000, but to me, it has no value. So
It's priceless, right? Is that the Buzz Lightyear car?
yes, that is the Buzz Lightyear car.
To infinity and beyond?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It took some people, when they read that plate, they were like, "What? Why Buzz Lightyear?"
Yeah.
Well, and because a lot of people don't know, it's a Infinity sedan from 1999. It wasn't a very popular car. It's not. It's the Infinity version of a Nissan Maxima. So they're like, "Oh, is that a Maxima?" I'm like, "No, it's an Infinity." But it was also the last car that I brought my stepmom home in before she passed away from cancer. So for me, it is, I can't get rid of the car. That's too much sentimental value. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I think any car guy has that one car that they can't get rid of, or if they get rid of, they try to find it immediately after they've sold it.
Yeah, I get that. I'm working on another podcast with an intuitive. So I don't know if you believe in any of that, but I bet she could see a lot from that car based on your connection to it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I definitely I believe in the energies, and karma, and what goes around comes around, because energy is not doesn't go away, it just transfers. So I just kind of try to put out good energy. Not every, I mean, I'm not going to wake up every day in the best mood, but as long as I can try to put something good in the world, at some point it's going to come back to me. But maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a year from now, 10 years from now, something, or if I can help somebody provide good energy or be a good energy.
I love that. So there's one more question I always like to ask all of my guests. How has self-worth played a role in your life?
I think everybody has to know what they mean to another person. Everybody has worthiness, whether you're providing whatever you do and you do it well, somebody finds value in who you are and what you do. Um, we as people may not be able to see that very often, or we may not be able to know that we're providing that that worthiness to, whether it is your work or your kids or your spouse or your sisters and brothers and your parents. Like, everybody's worthy. For me, and I guess everybody goes to a point where they don't, or they may not feel that they're worthy of something, or they don't deserve something. But just know that you are worthy of what you have. I oftentimes find myself feeling that I don't deserve what I have because of, I guess, my upbringing. I didn't have a bad upbringing, but I didn't grow up in the best neighborhood. But I saw people not make it out from where I grew up, and it was like I kind of feel bad because I'm like, well, I have this, but they don't have it, and they should, and I want them to, but I can't work for them. So I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But
Yeah, it does.
and then it's like the other part of being worthy is wanting to get to the next level and always feeling you're right at the precipice, and then it's like, oh, the ball rolls back down the hill, and it's like, oh, I gotta push this thing back up the hill. And I'm like, so I feel like I'm in that middle point in my life where I'm happy for what I have. I don't want people to think that I'm not content with what I have, but I want more, because at some point I want to be able to give back more, do
Yeah.
more, and I can't do that until I'm in a better position. And I want to be in that better position. I want to be in that position now, but I know that it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not.
Yeah.
So I want to get to the point to where I can be of service, or of more service to other people. I just want to get there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, achievement is a funny thing because you're clearly achievement oriented, right? You always got two jobs or two businesses or two income streams at least coming in.
Oh yeah.
You're growing something, you're self-generating, you're entrepreneurial. When you're that kind of achievement mindset, no matter what you achieve, there's always more to achieve. So
Yeah.
you'll hit this goal and you'll say, all right, well, that's great, but I'm not satisfied because I'm still achievement oriented. I still am reaching for how good can I have it? How much can I contribute? What's the next level I can get to? So you'll have a lifetime of achievement and there will always be more to achieve.
Everybody wants to be Bezos. Everybody wants to be Elon Musk. Everybody wants to. I mean, I don't think that I'll ever get to that point because I didn't create Amazon or Tesla. But I want to be, my income level, like that type of person, to be
Yeah.
able.
They're billionaires.
Right.
So you're looking to be a billionaire.
I would love to be a billionaire, but
Yeah. Those people don't have a lot of free time, right?
this is true. This is also true.
I heard, I don't know if you know Clubhouse, the social media app, but I heard him speak on Clubhouse, Elon Musk. And somebody asked about a day in the life of Elon Musk. Like, this guy, he's the one taking us to space. He's the one that's going to get us to Mars. He's the one that's, created the electric car movement. He's the pioneer of all this new forwarding technology. And he's probably a billionaire. And he said his whole day is just meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. He's like, nobody would, if you saw my schedule, you wouldn't want my life.
Right.
Because all it is just from meeting to meeting to meeting. And that struck me because, the grass is always greener. And yes, he can have whatever house he wants, whatever cars he wants, whatever trips he wants. He can have anything because he has unlimited his disposal. But at what cost? Like you talked about balance, and I think balance is the key to anything, including achievement. So, you're welcome to, the sky is the limit, right? Like you can create anything, especially these days. The typical millennial will tell you that you need 7 income streams to be a millionaire today. And there's plenty of ways to create income streams these days with real estate and so many different things. But I applaud your achievement oriented mindset because I'm the same way. I've thought a lot about it, which is why I have so much to say about it. But that's awesome. Well, it's really been great to have you on, Thomas. I've so appreciated our time. I always like to turn the tables. Yeah, I like to turn the tables at the end of the interview, see if you have a question for me. Is there a question you'd like to ask me before we wrap up?
Yeah, I thought about it. I was thinking like, well, I'm a car guy. Like, if there were any road in America that you would like to drive, where is it? Or a road trip you would like to take? Something like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have always thought I live in New York in the Hudson Valley.
Okay.
There's 2 road trips I think I would love to do. I've always thought it would be fun to do the fall foliage trip. So you start up in Canada in the fall and you follow the foliage, the leaves changing. It's called like a leaf peeper tour or something like that. But there's a specific, it goes with the weather, like as you get further south, and it kind of ends around here.
Oh, nice.
Or at least we're on the trail. I don't know if we're the end of it. So that would be great to do. I think that would be super fun to do, just to kind of follow the foliage down throughout
that would be
weeks
cool.
of a road trip. And the other one, I've never looked into the actual trip, but I always thought it would be fun to take a road trip to Vegas. Now, of course, when you look at how long it would take from New York, it's like, never mind, I'll fly.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, right.
Yeah.
But I thought like that could be a fun road trip, like where Vegas isn't the only destination, it's the final destination.
Right.
And then you have all the stops you could create along the way. So those would be the 2 top road trips I think I would enjoy doing if I had the penchant to do so.
Yeah, that's I think those are pretty cool. Yeah. The Vegas one, that's far. That's through Kansas. That's through Kansas. That's through Missouri. That's through, wow, there's a lot of nothing in between there. So,
well, but I've never been kind of to the center of the country. I
live, I live in the Midwest. And so anything past like, I want to say I've driven through Missouri. It is sheer misery. There is nothing there. But then once you get like even continuing further west on I-70, which I live essentially right at the junction of 70 and 75, which are the 2 major highways in the country. But once you get out west, it is flat, and I'm sure there's some cool stuff out there, but it is like mind-numbing. The just flat cornfields everywhere. Cool to see from above on a plane because you see all the crop circles and stuff like that. But until you get to like Colorado, it's rough. And that's something I've always wanted to. And it's something I've always wanted to do as well, is drive the country. But I don't know if I'll take the northern route or the southern route. I don't know if I can drive straight through the middle of the country.
Yeah. Well, it's something to look into. It's definitely, I wouldn't call it a bucket list item, but it's one of those things like, I should look into how long that would take and, how I would actually plan it out. That was a great question. and one that no one has ever asked me in like 67 episodes.
Oh, really?
So nice.
That's cool.
Good job.
Nice.
That's awesome. Thomas, it's been amazing spending some time with you. Thanks for sharing your plate story and your life story.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I wish you all the best. Yeah, absolutely. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Trista's Plate Story podcast, share it, or leave a review. If you would like to nominate a license plate to be featured in a future episode, or you have an interesting plate story news item to share with me, leave us a comment or visit platestory.com. That's PL8STORY.com and give me all the details. This is Trista Polo, wishing you well on the road to your next adventure.